The story I'm going to tell you comes from India. Now, every good Indian folk tale begins with a wedding. A wedding that it takes ages to prepare. All the food, really beautiful spicy curries, silken clothing, and the groom always wears white with gold embroidery. And the hands are hennaed on the palms, on the back. And the bride is dressed in beautiful, beautiful colours. And the wedding celebrations last, usually 3 days. Eating, feasting, dancing, singing, sort of stringed instruments, wind instruments, and always the drums, always the drums. And they always, always finish with the drum beats. The bride was so looking forward to being the wife. And then the sobbing began. She sobbed, and her sisters sobbed and held her, and her cousins sobbed and knelt before her and wrung their hands, and her mother sobbed and shook, and her father sobbed and stepped back, and the sobbing continued for so long because they knew that she would have to leave. She would have to leave their family, the family that she'd been with for nearly 20 years, and she would have to go many villages away and live with her new husband. And so they sobbed until they could sob no more, and then they smiled, for the groom was handsome. The groom was successful, and it so happened that the bride and the groom had decided they liked each other. So the bride was smiling when she left. She was looking forward to her life in her new home, her life with her new mother-in-law. And her mother-in-law opened the door and welcomed her and took her to the room where she would spend the wedding night with her new husband. And the room was hung with silken oriental carpets on the floor, beautiful plush carpets. The sun streamed through the windows, and in the evening it was cool. It was a wonderful room. And the bride thought to herself, yes, I am going to be happy here. But she wasn't, because she couldn't do anything right for her mother-in-law. If she swept the room this way, her mother-in-law said, sweep it this way. If she did the washing, and she hung the washing out, and she took the chemise, the men's chemise, and hung it up by the hem, the mother-in-law said, you stupid girl, take it by the shoulders, hang it up so the sleeves hang down like a man. And if she washed the ladies' shalwars and hung them at waist, the mother-in-law said, no, 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 no. Don't you know? You fold them together and you hang them by the ankles so it does not look like women's legs. Don't you know anything? Always, always there was something wrong. The young bride one evening said to her husband, I can't seem to satisfy your mother. What can I do? And he said, well, don't worry about it. Give her time. She's got to get used to you. And so she gave her time. Did it improve? Of course it didn't. If they were dusting together, she moved the ornaments, she put them back on the shelf, and her mother-in-law said, no, 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 you've put it in the wrong place, or you've put it too near the edge, it will fall off. Didn't you ever learn anything? Didn't matter what she did. She could not satisfy her mother-in-law. It didn't matter how she cooked those onions. If she put the chilli in first, it should have been the fenugreek. If she put the fenugreek in first, it should have been the chilli. If it said caramelised, they were too soft and clear. If it said too soft and clear, they were too caramelised. Nothing, nothing she could do would satisfy her mother-in-law. So she spoke to her new husband and she said, I don't quite know what I can do. There must be something wrong with what I'm doing. Perhaps if I went home, spent some time back in my village, I could learn how to be a proper wife. And her husband took her hands and said, look at the henna on your palms. Look at the henna here. It hasn't even faded. If you go home now with the henna still showing, well, it will be a shame. It will be shame on me. It will be against everything that I know. All the respect that has been given to me, it will go. No, you can't leave. Well, Carol, are you okay? Are you okay?
Oh, carry out, please do.
Fine, okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't realise I was...
It's okay, I'm just a little concerned.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so if I shout
It
and it bothers you,
No.
put your hand up.
Sorry.
Okay,
My
fine.
head's happened, end off, but don't worry about it.
All right. Well,
Go for it.
at night, she lay in her bed thinking, I wonder what I can do. I wonder what I can do to make my life more comfortable here. Then she had an idea. The next day was market day. She took the basket and she went to the market. She chose the tomatoes. She chose the aubergines and the plums and the herbs. At the bottom of the basket, she took some coins, extra money that her mother-in-law didn't know about. Because her idea was, once she'd done her shopping, she would walk beyond the edges of the village and she would visit the wise woman who lived on the edge of the town, the edge of the village. She recognised the door, the wise woman's door. It had been described to her, green. That was the one. And she knocked 3 times. And she heard a voice. Yes? She pushed open the door and walked into a room that was full of unfamiliar fragrances. And there, just in front of her, stood a tall, smooth-skinned woman who said, yes. And the new bride said, help me. I'm newly married. Yes. I have a new husband. Yes. I have a new mother-in-law. Yes. How can I help you? I must be rid of this spiteful, cruel woman. Ah. You want to be rid forever of this cruel, unkind mother-in-law. Yes, that's it. Give me something and I can get rid of her. And the wise woman ran her hand along the shelf. She paused at the phial of red liquid. No. The small bottle of green gel. No. And further along there was a little pot of white ointment. She took off the lid and she offered it. And the smell was just a little like jasmine. Put it back and gave it to the bride, who gave the few last coins. The bride took it home underneath the vegetables. And when she got home, the mother-in-law said, and where have you been? I know what you've been doing. You've been gossiping in the market. Look at those vegetables. They've been in the sun. All those herbs, they have dried and they are withered, and they were the ones that we were going to use tonight. You better get them washed and chopped while I do the onions. And so she did exactly as her mother-in-law said. She washed them and she chopped up those herbs while the mother-in-law got the big pan with the oil in. Well, girl, put the herbs in. Straight off the chopping board into the oil. But of course they were wet. And what happens if you put wet vegetables in hot oil? Psh, there was a tremendous splash and spluttering. Ah, went the mother-in-law, you stupid girl, all that hot oil, it's on my face. And the girl thought, I know what to do. And she got out the little pot. And she remembered what the wise woman had instructed. Because when the wise woman had handed her the pot, she had said, take a little of the ointment and rub it on your mother-in-law's skin, slowly and gently. And she remembered how she thought, I don't want to do that. That's a horrible old woman, I don't want to touch her skin. Wrinkled, dry up. But this was the ointment that would get rid forever of the cruel, spiteful mother-in-law. And so she gently rubbed in the ointment into the stinging skin. And the mother-in-law said, well, we'll see if that works, shall we? Soon enough, the stinging was taken out. She said, well, okay, not bad. The meal was cooked and was eaten. Still, she was unkind and cruel to her daughter-in-law. Then, one day, they were dusting the shelves. Mother-in-law knocked off an ornament. It crashed to the floor. It didn't break. But she turned to her daughter-in-law and said, that was your fault. I told you to put it properly on the edge of the shelf. I had to go, as she bent down, he said, oh, that was your fault. My back. And the daughter-in-law said, I'd get some of that ointment, shall I? And she rubbed it gently onto the skin of the wicked old mother-in-law, smoothing it in. And the mother-in-law said, oh, I think I'll have to sit down. I will, I'll have to sit down. And so she sat down and she said, I think it feels a little bit better. And the daughter-in-law said, I'll get you some sherbet. I'll get you some sherbet of mashed up, mashed up fruit and a little milk, a sherbet drink. And she gave it to the mother-in-law, who drank it. And she said, oh, I haven't had anything as sweet as that since I was a girl, before I was married. My mother used to put honey in it. You could do that. Yes, I could do that. And so, time went by. And they were washing those muslin sheets that are so cool on hot nights, and hanging them up. And the mother-in-law said, oh, I've got rheumatism in my hands. And the daughter-in-law thought, ointment, I'll put some of that on it. I'll rub it in. The ointment that will get rid forever of this dreadful mother-in-law. And as she rubbed it in, the mother-in-law said, oh, that does feel better. When my hands hurt, it reminds me of the time when, as a young bride, my mother-in-law would criticise me. I couldn't do anything right, and what I did wrong, she would take her bony hands and she would smack me across my face. Oh, I remember that in her hands. And she sat down, and the daughter-in-law brought her some more sherbet, and this time she put honey in it. And the mother-in-law began to smile, and the daughter-in-law looked at the little jar of ointment and thought, there's none left. There's none left. There's none left. And early in the morning, the next day, before anyone got up, she rushed from the house, through the market, to the village, to the edge of the village, and she knocked on that green door, not apprehensively this time, and she pushed it open, and there was the wise woman. And the wise woman said, I remember you. You've come for some more ointment, haven't you? You've come for some more of that ointment that will get rid of your dreadful, spiteful mother-in-law. No, no, said the daughter-in-law. No, I haven't. I've come for the antidote. Well, what antidote? The antidote. You said that this ointment would get rid of my mother-in-law, and I've used it all up, and I've changed my mind, and I want an antidote. No, said the wise woman. There is no antidote. There is no antidote. The daughter-in-law looked and she said, well, what am I going to do? I've used up all the ointment. Well, said the wise woman, where is that spiteful, unkind mother-in-law? Well, she's gone. She's gone? Yes, she's not spiteful and unkind anymore. I gradually rubbed the ointment in. More and more I rubbed it in. The gentler and kinder she became. So you don't want an antidote? No, I don't want an antidote. What you want is a big jar of the ointment. There is no antidote for kind words and consideration. And so the daughter-in-law took the big jar of ointment, and over the weeks and the months and the years, that ointment got completely rid of the nasty, spiteful, unkind mother-in-law. And like many storytellers, I live in hope that the groom and the bride and the mother-in-law lived happily ever after. Thank you.